So, Rocksteady finally decided that they were going to scale back the NDA for the alpha for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Let's take a look at what is actually written within this particular rollback, or what I'll call partial rollback of the alpha, and we can go from there. Because what's crazy is, just a few hours before this, I tweeted, "Hey Rocksteady, want to remove this NDA or release the Kraken?" It was a meme or something of that nature that I actually posted. And when I saw this, I was like, whoa, they must have been reading my tweets. Well, I'm not that foolish to think that somebody who has no sort of movement on Twitter has influenced Rocksteady. I think it's as a result of a plethora of a lot of different people pretty much posting and asking, saying, hey, are you guys going to take a look at possibly going to move this particular NDA so that people who actually played the alpha of the game can actually go ahead and talk about it? So in this video, I wanted to go ahead and just maybe talk about marketing rather than even tell you what I think this alpha was about for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Why would I do that? We already knew what the game was. And I'm sorry, if you were coming here to hear my thoughts and my opinions on the game, you've already been hearing it if you've been a member of this channel. Now, maybe you might be new. Maybe you've never actually crossed paths with my channel. But you already know what Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is regardless. And this is the beauty of what I think the marketing should have been from these companies from the get-go. Now, before I jump any further into that, let's go ahead and take a look at what they actually said. They said, back in November, we held a closed alpha test for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, where players agreed to a non-disclosure agreement and got a chance to check out an early section of the game. Now that there's more news out on the game and the players are asking, we're no longer enforcing a portion of the NDA. We're allowing players to talk about their experience from the closed alpha test. We've heard the community requests and want to give players an opportunity to discuss what it's like to explore Metropolis as Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and King Shark. To the amazing players who tested the game, please feel free to talk and write about your gameplay experience. Keep in mind that all other forms of NDA still apply, and players may not post imagery or videos from the closed alpha test. Now, the NDA that we signed did prohibit you from making any videos or taking any images, so this is definitely something that you're going to not see on this channel. Now, if you were looking nonetheless to see gameplay and to see images, they are widely available. Because what I can tell you is everything that has been shown from the PlayStation Showcase, from the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League community incentive that they've been doing on YouTube, Part 1 and Part 2, and even the things that you've seen from the games journalists in regard to gameplay is exactly the same. There is nothing that is tweaked. There's nothing that is changed in regard to how the game plays and how movement is. The final piece of this whole puzzle is game feel. I think that's the one thing that the developers need to move into position to now take into account. Because yes, we may be able to talk about the game now because now you're seeing the counter opinions. You're seeing everybody now be able to give their own opinions, and now it's no longer left in the select hands of a few to be able to tell you what they think about the game. A lot more people are telling you what they think about the game. So now opinions are starting to come out, and what you're going to be seeing, if you maybe have been on the fence or maybe you're not sure, is that everybody's got their opinion about a video game. Some people are going to like it. Some people are not going to like it. That's how these video games usually tend to go, isn't it? And at the end of the day, you're going to see where people who maybe like the game, there'll be a whiplash effect of them basically saying to you, we're not changing our minds and we're going to defend the game. And then you see people who maybe don't like the game constantly continue to bash the game. And so you're going to see this back and forth overall. You will, however, get a middle ground. If you're someone who's indifferent, who you're, in your case, you don't really care, you'll be able to see the middle ground and say, man, this is all subjective and this is what it's always been. This is why I had the biggest problem with so-called reviewers during Gotham Knights, because they very much misconstrued this game. And they were trying to do the exact same with Suicide Squad, not maybe purposefully, but just because we've always kind of leaned on them as the first people to get to play the game and test the game. But their experience with the video game will never, can never, and has never been the same as the player. So what do you do in a scenario like this? What do you do in a situation like this? You have multiple options. Number one, you don't play the game. Number two, you play the game. Number three, you wait for the game to go on sale. At the end of the day, you'll be able to form an opinion as to what it is you want to play. Somebody told me in my comment section something that I thought, this is actually slightly true in some sense. They said to me, you're so desperate to want this game to be good, and this is Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, by the way, if you were wondering. They said, I'm sure, and this is what they said. It was very interesting what I read from their comments. I was quite surprised by this comment. Let me pull it up for you guys here, so you guys can see for yourselves. They said, "OMG, you're so desperate for this to be good. You're sticking your fingers in your ears, screaming la la la. I bet you had the same attitude with Gotham Knights, which also failed." Well, what does the success or the failure of a game have to do with my enjoyment of the game? Number one, it has nothing to do with it. So that's already, in my opinion, a weak argument if that's what you want to make. And then number two, the reason I stuck my hand in my ears, and if you think that's what I did, which I don't think I did because I answered almost everybody. So I was listening and basically responding. I just made a lot of videos to those effects. So if you want to go through my playlist. But the reason I actually, maybe metaphorically stuck my hand in my ear was because a lot of the people who actually played and reviewed Gotham Knights, many of them straight up mischaracterized the game. In fact, in some cases, some of them lied. In some cases, some of them were exposed having not even explored the game and seen if their complaints were actually valid. I'll give you names and I'll give you instances if you want to hear. Let me call the names out. Number one, culprit number one, Luke Stevens. Luke Stevens complained about Gotham Knights basically not having a system in its RPG that made the enemy have any variety. He said in one of his videos, it would be nice if the enemies, something along the lines of that, and I can't quote that because I don't remember the quote. It would be nice if the enemies actually had specific things that they were weak to, or you had abilities that you could actually implement in regard to the enemy so that the enemies felt like, you had to play differently, which is weird because this is a mechanic that the entire game is based on. Every enemy class has weaknesses and has things that don't even necessarily deal with them. The footage you're seeing right here is me fighting the Court of Owls. They're weak to cryogenic and you're weak to fire. But Luke Stevens did not know this and complained about it in his video. It was very interesting. The next one was Skillup and White Light and Monty Xander, who all complained about the Court of Owls enemies, whom are only able to be taken down using a specific move in the game. In this particular game, you've seen me use that specific move and other moves to be able to fight them. And this is just random footage that I put on my OBS to play, disproving basically the crux of most of their combat critique in their own videos for Gotham Knights. So when you actually say, okay, how are the players and how are people going to respond to a video game? It all depends on who's playing the game, who has time, and who's concerned enough to take out what I think is the care to look through the game and say, perhaps this game is not for me. And that's a lot of deliberation that the players are capable of doing because their money's on the line. No offense to reviewers, for the most part, their money is not on the line. Their enjoyment factor and fun factor and their goals are not on the line when it comes to any video game. So at the end of the day, it is a very strange place to be, and I still respect Raton's position after all is said and done. He's basically talked about getting review codes, getting early access, and how he stopped doing that because there were just some things, and his position was different because of conflicts of interest and all that. And even me, myself, I'm not doing reviews anymore. I don't care if you call me up and say, hey, come review my game or whatever it is, which I've been in the past. I'm not going to do it again. I'm just going to be like, well, I'll take an early code, but not giving any reviews because there is the side where the review can be tainted. Not necessarily the fact that they gave you a review key, but just the fact that you may be in a time constraint. That could also be very challenging to you. That could cause you a lot of problems when you think about it, because now you got to get a review out because everybody else is getting a review out. There's competition on YouTube. So there are many factors. And so a thing like the alpha, a thing like a demo, which Ubisoft, surprisingly, I was pleasantly surprised, is taking the time to put a demo for Prince of Persia. Look at this. I opened my Uplay account and it said activate product demo. Clicking continue will bind this game to your Ubisoft account so you can access it from your games list on any PC. Good on you guys. I am glad that these gaming companies are starting to realize that the people they sell the games to are not the journalists and are not the YouTubers. And I'm a YouTuber and I'm telling you, it is to the community and the audiences that they sell these games to. And so who needs to actually make the final decision on the game as to how they relate to the game, what they see about the game, if they like the game, is the final consumer. You see, it used to be, and this is what I think has actually spawned this, and this is a disruptive video. This is a video that is going against all of the norms. So let's just go out. I think for the most part, video game companies have enjoyed the shroud of mystery. They've been able to sell their games under this, ooh, it's so exclusive. You don't get to play it yet, but somebody else gets to play it. Wouldn't you like to be this person who's playing it? Hence, come on over and play it when it releases. That used to be their premise when it came to the marketing. I see some value in that. However, with these years that we've had a whole lot of other games pretty much show up, it is no longer a conversation anymore of, oh, are you going to now keep your game under a shroud of mystery? Because if you do, another game's going to come in and scoop up some of your player base. So what you need to do, and what I've argued that needs to be done, is game development companies should find ways to put the games in the hands, or slices of the games in the hands of the general public as quickly as they can. Thankfully, Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. I don't know if they intended to do this, its developers or not. They were able to get the alpha to everybody before they had anybody come in and exclusively play it. This way, the conversation is now open for people to make their choice. So whether you think you want to be in the game's ecosystem or not, it's your choice to make. No one has to tell you if the game is good. No one has to tell you if the game is bad. I trust the gamer to make a choice based on what it is that they want to do. That is how I put it. Now, even if they make a choice that I don't agree with, even if they make a choice that I think, ooh, their better choice could have probably been made here, it is still their choice to make. So if they choose to play Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, that's their choice. If they choose not to play it, it's also their choice as well. That is based on the evidence, the facts, and the information that they have, which I think is much more consumer-friendly overall. Don't you think? So let me hear your thoughts in the comments, and I guess we'll talk in another one. I appreciate you guys for watching the video. Thank you very much for all of you guys that are participating. I understand everybody has different opinions and so on and so forth, but it is what it is. Thanks again. Peace out.